weird development. I really was sort of annoyed at the way that AI is interfacing with music at the moment. It doesn't feel like creation. It feels like just cobbling and stealing. And I wondered if we could somehow build something that skips the LLM portion of AI, that skips the word banking, that skips the cross-referencing, that skips the sort of amalgamation, and goes straight from thought to music. And so I met these crazy guys, and we started about 3 weeks ago, and it's been pretty amazing. So I'm going to read a little bit, these are some of my thoughts I wrote this morning about it. So something I've really not enjoyed about the way that current AI technology, this site can't be fucking reached. Can you just, yeah? Okay, wonderful. Yeah, tap on that first one, if possible. Okay, he'll work on it. This is an introduction. That AI technology approaches music and music generation, translating everything into a language of words, and then uses those words to cross-reference the language bank it's been trained on. It's a large language model, after all. And so you input things like a crying woman and ask it in the latest cutting-edge technology to produce a soundtrack to the image. It will transfer the image to text into words like sad, woman, sentimental, heartbreak, whatever else it can infer from the image, and then cross-reference that collection of words with its database of existing music, lyrics and so on, emotion, from which music it will appropriate and reconstruct a new musical piece, quote unquote. This is unsatisfactory to a musician, I think, because I do not believe that the language of words precedes the language of music. I do not believe that words precede frequency, bluntly, because it is a fact that words do not precede frequency, because we are frequency. And so we wanted to set about, in some sense, skipping the language of words and yet utilizing AI to produce a more direct musical, melodic, tonal interpretation, not only of imagery or feeling, but of thought itself. And to begin such a thing, we felt we would have to begin with the basic sounds of the brain, taking the activity of the brain and sonifying it. And so by some magic or other, I ran into these two guys, and it turned out that they're not only brilliant coders, but musicians themselves. Chris is a harpist, Cody is a tubist. Is that how you say it? Okay, what else? Trombonist first. And we share the same nerdy passions for this particular zone of interest. So 3 weeks ago we began in earnest, and what you'll see today is sort of a snapshot of our progress, and we're very much in the nascent stages of that progress. I want to say that the implications are beyond music for this, in my mind, beyond making a new kind of music, and maybe far greater than the impact the development of artificial intelligence itself than we think, because as research has shown that music and exposure to music enhances our facility and ability with the language of words, it may just be the case that a directly musical AI model may be able to inform and enhance LLMs in the very same way, and that that music enhances our ability to process language. Okay, so here's slide 1, which is cut off. Just slide it on out. Ah, wonderful. Okay, so here's the first instrument, about 50,000 years ago. And, in a McLuhan-esque sort of way, instruments have always been extensions of our minds, extensions of our body. This is the extension of our mind 50,000 years ago, and its capacity for melody, an extension of the human throat and its desire for pure melody. Slide 2, please. I think if you just tap on it, it might, well, anyway. So, instruments as extensions of the mind. In many ways, these are extensions of human desire. The hammer as the extension of the arm and hand, the computer as the extension of mind and memory. And with musical instruments, it's the same. And we always understand mastery of a musical instrument, as we just saw up here, to be that point at which the instrument is simply an extension of the performer, when the division between the performer's mind and their instrument seems to dissolve, and they become one. We think of Franz Liszt and his piano, or Jimi Hendrix and his guitar, or Louis Armstrong and his trumpet, and we see a unified extension of the artist and their instrument. Slide 3. But now let's consider something I made this morning on Midjourney. the relationship between the musician and AI, because I think it's no longer clear which one is the instrument and which one is the extension of the other. In the case of the piano and the guitar and the trumpet, the object sits there full of potential. Almost anything can be done with them. And it's up to the artist to mine the instrument for its potential and draw out that potential in the form of music. But in this case, it is the human mind which sits here as the object of potential. And it is the AI that draws out, or helps to draw out, that potential as music. Slide 4. All right, so the history of what John Cage termed experimental music is a fairly recent history, starting in the 20th century with pioneers like John Cage, Gilead Derbyshire, and others who saw within the advent of electronic music and electronic frequency and electronic hardware and current the potential for a new horizon of sound, a new form of music complete with its own qualities, and for the potential to move the body and mind in ways never before experienced. For those of you aware of that history or have watched documentaries about some of these pioneers, you're probably aware that in the beginning, it didn't sound very much like music. That's me apologizing for what you're about to hear. But like genuine sonic experimentation, like the development of a nascent language, a language of rudimentary expressions which nevertheless carry within them the seeds of our sonic futures. Slide 5. One thing that's probably been the primary guiding light for us, I think, over the last month has been the notion of synesthesia, which is to say the conflation of senses, as in the hearing of colors or the vision of sounds. And today, as we do our demonstration, you'll see a little bit of that in its infancy. But I'd also love for you to keep in mind that some of the implications for this go beyond music and potentially allow us to interact with our worlds in ways that have up to now been impossible, allowing us to not only have synesthetic experience of the world, where we can hear the smile of our loved ones, or see the intrinsic visualization of a song just by listening to it, giving new multi-sensory form of sight and a new multi-sensory form of sound to humanity, but also potentially impacting communication and even problems like blindness, knowledge acquisition, or the operations of the unconscious in new and interesting ways. So, yada, yada, yada. All right, I think let's get to the, one last thing I wanted to say before you see this. So what you're about to see, I'm just gonna read. Whatever music seems to be fundamental is if not essential to the human brain, but what we have, blah, blah, blah. The question I ask myself is this. Does one, meaning, language or music, inform the other, or does the other inform the one? What's more fundamental? Is it possible that music is a more fundamental expression than the language of words? After all, everything that we see and are and experience is frequency. Everything makes noise. Even that which we think is silence is not silence. Atoms hum a D note, many octaves above the capacity for the human ear to hear it. The earth vibrates at B flat, as do black holes. Everything makes noise. Now, noise is one thing, everything makes noise. So in a way, noise is simply the condition of existence, unmitigated noise. And yet somehow we want to distill music from this mess of noise. And that's basically what we tried to do. So without further ado, we're going to dive into some EEG machine mediated music, where we basically sonify the brain in various ways and thought. And then of course the question is, can we control those sonifications?